Thanks for joining us on the second edition of Decision 2023 on ASO Radio and Television Services. I am Hulina Adojo. In this second segment of the program, I am not alone. In fact, I have
Isalo. It's nice having you on this program, and today is indeed the day Nigeria will be making that decision on who is going to be the next leader in the country. So it's nice having you also on the program.
Okay. We also have two analysts in the studio here to discuss some of the issues that both our callers and Nigerians have raised so far. We have Dr. Ebohime. He's a political scientist. Welcome to ASO Radio and Television.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much.
We also have Dr. Akintunde Ogunsola. He's an economic consultant. Welcome to the studios of ASO Radio and Television.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. Decision 2023.
We have our correspondents on the field. We have from Abaji, Kwali, Gwagwalada, Kuje, Abuja Municipal Area Council to join us via Skype and telephone calls to give us situation report from wherever they are, wherever they'll be reporting from. So you can follow us on www.asoradioandtv.com/live. We're on DSTV channel 392. We're on Star Times TV channel 127, and on Free TV you can join us on channel 507. We are also transmitting on the UHF band on channel 38. You can listen to us on ASO Radio 93.5 FM. Thank you very much once again for joining us on the program.
Okay, it seems some will be having Topsy from his field. Topsy, good afternoon and welcome to the program. Please can you just give us an update on what is happening?
Yeah, basically now in the just short while.
Topsy is at the collation center.
Okay. You will now see the INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, will step into the collation center for the briefing. Like I told you a while ago, that he has been around, and what he did was that by the time he arrived at the collation center, that's the International Conference Center, he went straight to the situation room to observe how results people are casting their votes in various states, and then how they are trickling in the situation room. Of course, nobody goes in there. What happens is they select bit by bit people to go in with him, and at the end you go out and there's some other persons. But right now, if you see from behind, you will now see how prepared we are. This is where the INEC chairman will briefing the press. That's where he sits, and then he will now brief us at the end of the day. Right now, officials are there. You can see the camera. Let me just turn around so that you're able to see. You see cameramen and the officials from the INEC are already seated, getting prepared for the day. Usually, voting has commenced across the states. And maybe he has observed one or two things. He wants to tell the public basically what he has observed. But of course, it's been quite very smooth, I must confess, looking at what has been going on over time.
Okay, thank you so much, Topsy, for giving us this briefing with regards to the happenings in the Coalition Center, the INEC Coalition Center. That's the International ICC, I mean to say. So thank you so much. So we'll definitely be getting more reports from you. Whenever you have any new details, please kindly reach out immediately, and then we'll take that up. So let us quickly come back to the studio where we have Mr. Dr. Ebohime. Doctor, good afternoon. It's nice having you today on the program to discuss issues that pertain to the election that is ongoing now. What was your take before coming to the studio? What have you seen so far?
Well, I think there is, in the area I live, there is a relatively reasonable turnout of voters. My streets, my neighborhoods, I saw peaceful conduct of the elections. I will not be able to vouch whether the materials arrived early enough because I came out at around 11 o'clock. So I wouldn't know what happened before then. So far, so good.
Dr. Akintunde, so far so good.
So far so good. I think the election materials still arriving late. In my polling unit, I was there as early as 8 o'clock. And we're actually organized. We gave ourselves numbers so that we're not going to queue under the sun. So they're going to follow the numbers as soon as the materials arrived. And just shortly, I think around 9 o'clock, that's when the materials arrived. And we have the police, the immigration, the civil defense on ground, ensuring that people are orderly. And everything was actually going well. Voting started around 10 p.m., 10 a.m. Before I actually left the polling unit to start coming to the studio. And also on my way coming, I can see high turnout of voters on the road. People are actually determined to actually be part of this election. You also recall that when INEC opened the voters register for people to register, we had high turnout of people, trying to register in order to participate in this election. We're going to be seeing all that in the results as the results will begin to trickle in a matter of hours. So we hope to see a good turnout.
Okay, let me still stick on you because before coming to the studio, I did observe that people also were complaining with regards to the names that were used to be displayed before the election. Did you experience any kind of discontent with respect to that?
Oh no, I think that actually made it more organized. Several polling units already have their voter register pasted on the walls. So as soon as you get to the polling units, you just go straight to the wall where it's pasted. You check your voter's card. There's a polling unit number on it. When you check the polling unit number, you also check with the number on the board. So that signifies that that is your polling unit before you now begin to check your name on the register. And I think that process actually made it seamless and very easy. So once you see your name on the board, you know you are in that polling unit, and then you can go and take number, or you just join the queue as you arrive.
I think you had a seamless process in your area. Where I stay, in fact, we have about 2 new polling units where people who were supposed to go to a particular LEA primary school to vote just discovered that the new polling unit is created in the location. So I just came out from my house under the mango tree. I saw a crowd. In fact, Nigerians are really ready to decide who will lead them for the next 4 years. Dr. Eboymen, so much talk about the BVAS machine. Let's take a look. So far from the reports we have gathered from our reporters on the field, no complaint. No one seems to have complained from malfunctioning of the BVAS machine. Now, from the briefing the INEC chairman had with the media and civil society organization and the election observers, he stated that the BVAS machine has been configured to commence operation from 8:30 a.m. I think we have our caller Zara Mantu on the field from Buhari Area Council. Zara, hello, thanks for joining us.
Are you getting me?
Thanks for joining us, Zara Mantu.
I can't hear you well, but I'm still at Buhari.
Zara, it's nice having you on the program. Please, you can just go ahead with your report on what is happening in Buhari. Please, kindly go ahead, please.
Sorry?
You can go ahead with your report from the field, Zara.
The number?
I think Zara is having issue with the technical arrangement there. But then, Zara, if you get that fixed, we can join you later. Please get that fixed, please. Let us quickly come back to
So from the BVAS machine, from the reports gathered so far from some places, the process started about 31 hours late. So how can we make up for the lost hours from the BVAS?
Well, I think you start with the idea of technology. Technology are susceptible to some glitches, technical glitches. So it may not be helpful for the commission to assume that the BVAS machine will function 100%. There are going to be problems. So I hope they made backup arrangements for that. However, I think also, and the fuse goes without saying that if a machine is programmed in a particular fashion, that machine is subject to modification, to correction, to amendment. So if it was programmed to start at a particular time, it's also possible to modify it to start at a later time or to end at a later time. I don't think that's where the problem will be with an election such as this. The whole idea of introducing this kind of technology into our elections is to work towards an electoral integrity. That's the greatest challenge we have had with our election. Integrity of the electoral process, of the instruments, of whether it is ballot instrument or the accreditation instrument, as the case of the BVAS and so on and so forth. I will hope, and I think this is historical, that if there are glitches, technical glitches anywhere, we can effect correction and proceed with the process of conducting the polls, wherever that those glitches may have occurred, whether by backup or by repair or by some other way to correct, to effect correction. I don't worry about that. What I do worry about is, well, I guess we'll get there. What I do worry about is after the elections, after votes have been cast. That's the area that worries me. But as for the glitches, well, I'm sure they can tackle them. There should be people sufficiently technically savvy in the field. There should have been people who are operating those BVAS machines that have received sufficient training, adequate training to intervene and sort out errors wherever they occur, fix problems wherever they develop. And I imagine that we shouldn't worry too much. You know, let me just say this in passing. We seem to have reposed a great deal of confidence in the BVAS, but BVAS is a machine. It's also subject to human foibles, and let's not wait to look for a scapegoat. Let's do whatever it is possible now to correct whatever errors we dictate. The end is to get a result, an election result that is considered credible, acceptable to the contestants, and generally acceptable to the populace. I think that is the end.
Okay. And before we pick our call, Dr. Ogunsola, how do we make up? Because from some of the reports we have had from the field, the pocket of reports of elections starting late in some polling units. And from the briefing, the INEC chairman said that the machine has been configured to start work at 8:30. So how do we make up for those lost period?
Well, thank you for that question. You see, the INEC chairman didn't mention the closing time. He only mentioned the opening
It has been
time.
configured to start work at 8:30 and stop
At a particular time, which the time was not even mentioned. Yes, we also have a rule, let me say, INEC's rule that is also in force, that at 2 p.m. when voting is supposed to close, anyone that is still on the line, on the queue, must vote as far as they were there before 2 p.m. So the machine cannot stop by 2 o'clock, and then they will now say people on the line cannot vote again. That will amount to a level of disenfranchisement of the voters, and I think that will not be acceptable. But what I can say is that the BVAS machine is not going to stop, because we even have some polling units as we speak now. This to 1, some minutes to 1 o'clock. Some materials are yet to arrive at some polling units, even as we speak. And voting is supposed to end in a couple of just 1 hour plus. So I think there are some, just like Doctor said, there are some technical field officers of INEC on the field that can help to adjust the timing so that the machine wouldn't stop, and everyone will vote at the end of the day, and all the votes must definitely count.
I think with respect to the issue of the technicality, that's the more reason why INEC have the RATEC. The RATEC are always there to listen to the presiding officers whenever they're having technical issues. If they are not starting at 8:30, it could be as a result of one thing or the other. So they adjust definitely to make sure that yes, everybody is captured. But then moving forward, now that the voting has started across the 36 states of Nigeria and then including the FCT, what are your expectations from the regions we are having, the 6 major geopolitical regions?
Looking at the statistics of PVCs collected, because that's the main number that we need to look at, about 87 million permanent voters card that is being collected from INEC. And looking at from various regions, we know that Northwest has the majority of the highest votes, looking at the register. And I think in the southwest, the percentage of persons that collected the PVC were actually a little bit low in 2023 compared to 2019. Looking at that, I think we should still have high turnout of voters in the northeast and also in the northwest. And I think in the north central, in Abuja and all the other states in the north central, I think those are the key states that will determine the results of this election.
Okay, let me quickly come back to Dr. Obiome. Doctor, you've seen the president casted his vote this morning, and definitely you've also seen other presidential candidates across political parties casting their votes in their location. What is your take with respect to, like, the president, when he was casting his votes this morning, unlike in 2019, you see the plethora of persons in that particular location, but now it seems to just him and then few others casting his vote. So what's your take with respect to the presidential candidate casting their votes?
Well, I know, I don't know whether we should compare 2019 with 2023, because the president was a candidate in 2019. He's not now. That may have an impact in the number of people that accompany him to the polling station. However, I know there was a funny photograph that circulated in 2019 where the president's wife had cast her vote. The president peeped. now this year he cast his vote and then he showed it to the world. But you know, in theory, voting is a sacred process. The ballot is sacred. But if the president decides to disabuse the minds of his supporters or his followers or members of his party by removing the veil of secrecy from his ballot, well, I guess it's a choice he made. Whether it is legal or not is not my concern. I'm not learning in that area. However, there is an interesting development I have seen somewhere. You know, in 2015, we had an experience where the sitting president got to his polling station and the accreditation process was a bit difficult.
Yes.
It's failing. This morning, it appears that the polling station of one of the presidential candidates didn't start on time. The INEC officials didn't arrive there on time, and people were patiently waiting for them. I hope that problem has been sorted out. I wasn't able to follow it up before we came to the studio. It just shows the resilience of our people as Nigerians. As a joke I like to crack. The joke is not original to me. I learned it somewhere else. When Nigerians are pushed to the wall, they break the wall and run away. They don't fight back. So when we get into these kind of difficulties, we'll just find a way to cope with all the problems and all of that. And that should help us in handling whatever developments ensue from this election of today. But I will say that it is a good thing that candidates running for office show sufficient commitment to turn out early to vote, and their leaders and supporters also turn out early to vote, and everybody is patient. Whatever difficulties are there, we endure them until we sort them out and all of that. I heard that in one or two areas there have been postponement of the elections because of maybe non-appearance of the logo of a political party in that constituency, or in the case of Enugu East, the death of a candidate. It shows we are getting to the brass tacks. We are taking a very good grasp of these processes of election in our country, and in the end, it will be good for us. I hope in the course of the program, we'll have opportunity to discuss about the system of election. What we are doing is like a military operation. We have time to think about it. This is not a process. This is a process we need to reform. We are not on the democratic trajectory. Let me give you an example. One of the principles of democracy, okay, let's take even the one that is so absolute. When we say fundamental rights, one of them includes freedom of movement. That has been constituted restricted today. The federal government just decreed that you can't move. That's not democracy. We need to think about that. Another one, of course, is that businesses are shut down today. Nobody is doing any business anyway. That has impact on the economy and all that. So, long line, I hope we can get some of these things right and sort them out so that our elections in our country are not semi-military operations. Land borders are closed. The airspace, Nigeria airspace is closed. You can't fly into Nigeria. No, we have to start thinking through this process. We have to start thinking through this process.
Now, Dr. Ogunsola, look still on the electoral process. We've had pockets of complaint of open votes buying. Before the second segment of this program, we got a report from Kaduna State, a briefing by the EFCC chairman of arrests made so far. Even at a polling unit, a lady was arrested with about 18 PVCs and some cash amount to those she has collected the PVCs from. Is it possible to avoid open vote buying in Nigeria's electoral process?
Yeah, I think the vote buying is even done secretly, not even openly. It was just unfortunate, or let me say it was good that she was caught trying to, in the process of trying to deliver her own cash to those that she has collected their PVCs so that she can disburse to them. I think the security agencies are trying, compared to 2019 and 2015, that vote buying was so obvious. Even compared to previous elections, the state government elections in Ekiti and Osun, the security agencies, both the EFCC, the DSS, the police, I think the combined teams are actually doing well.
Okay, so before you add that, I think we have one of our reporters, Stanley, reporting. Stanley, please now have your report.
All right, thank you, Mr. Isanuhu. Right now, I am at Dawaki Extension, DPC. In this polling unit, there are about 618 voters that are to cast their ballots this afternoon. From all indications, they say that the INEC officials arrived at this polling unit very late, around somewhere 10 or 11. But the process has been going on smoothly. The BVAS accreditation is well on the way and it's going on very well and smoothly. And the voters are actually, they are behaving themselves. There are no fighting, no quarreling. As you can see, everybody is on the queue trying to cast their ballots. And I'm sure everyone is excited. There are massive turnout here, and I believe that by the end of this exercise, we'll probably get over 90% of all the voters that are registered in this polling unit to cast their ballots.
Okay, Stan, let me quickly ask you this. And looking at the screen now, I can see that we seem to have more female turnouts than that of the male. What's the assessment of this situation there?
I think it's not just only female. There are male and female, and both old and young individuals, mothers, fathers are over here. I think it's a combination of both male and female individual, and everybody is quite excited. As you can see here, they are all trying to get into line so that the process can be organized. Here, that is where they enter the line, and then from here, the BVAS machine are used to authenticate them for each and every individual that will cast ballots. As you can see, the process.
Any failure of the BVAS machine itself?
So far, so good. There has not been any failure encountered by the officials. The BVAS machine is working quite well and it's stable. The process is quite smooth.
That's a good situation report. Stanley, thanks for joining us. And we
Thank
hope
you so much.
to get more information from you as we progress. So far, so good. We've not had any complaint from the Beavers Nation, so that's a plus to INEC. The Beavers are working perfectly in most of the polling units. We have had reports from. Now back to my question before Stanley joined us via the vote buying.
Yeah, I was saying, yes, vote buying is actually being reduced. You will even recall that the reason why we have to change the naira and have naira scarcity is even to tackle the vote buying. But despite that, we still know that some, skirmishes of little monies here and there that is being, put in cupboards, in the hands of these politicians that still found their way into their hands. But I think it has been reduced with this change of the naira redesign policy. We will not have too much information about vote buying. In fact, we even discover also, like in Port Harcourt on the news, about close to $500,000 that was also caught. Somebody was caught. I think the member of House of Rep of PDP also was caught with that money, going to share the money, and he was apprehended. They actually changed from the naira to the dollar, and that's why we are seeing that in the news. But I think the security agencies are on top of the situation. I can assure you that if any one of them is caught, they are going to be prosecuted. It's no longer going to be the game as usual for the vote buyers. They are going to find it difficult this time. And Nigerians are also, they are determined to vote whoever they want to vote. If you give them this money, they will collect it and they will vote who they want to vote for. So I think the situation of vote buying will be reducing, even though we cannot have zero level. Yes, we might not be able to achieve zero level of vote buying, but I can assure you that it's going to come drastically down, especially with this cashless policy that we are actually in now.
No, Dr. Aboyemi, do you think the Naira redesign policy and the cashless policy has changed the narrative in vote buying in our electoral process?
No, in our country we easily forget. What we now call vote buying was called stomach infrastructure. In Fayoshe's contest against Fayemi in 2014. Before then, we didn't have this kind of incidents. And therefore, it is also possible to check it. We know how it started. We know the content. We know the content. We can obstruct its trajectory. It is possible for us. However, when you take the Naira redesign into account in relation to vote buying, that is not the business of the central bank. Central bank has no business with conduct of elections. Central bank's monetary policy is economic, and I don't think that policy has succeeded. I think it has failed. It didn't achieve the end it was intended to achieve. There is scarcity of the new notes, the new currency, 500, 1,000, give or take 200. There's scarcity everywhere, not only for the purpose of buying votes, but the purpose of doing ordinary business. To go out to the market, you are stuck. If you want to buy chicken in the market, you have to transfer money to your chicken seller. That's not how economies are run, and we don't have the robust technologies to support that kind of process. But since you are restricting to the argument about vote buying, it means that anybody that has money can buy vote cheaper now than he bought in 2019. Because 1,000 naira now, 1,000 naira is more precious than the 5,000 naira in 2019. So I hope we'll come back to think through this process. Think through this process and say, how did we get into this incidence of Bozai? What can we do about it? Not to mix up politics with economics. And that's the problem with our country. The first lecture I received when I studied political economy was that economics was primary, politics was secondary. In other words, politics is a reflection of economics. But in Nigeria, politics determines wherever you can go, how high you can climb in the economy. That's a recipe for underdevelopment. And we need to deal with it, because every time we try to think out of our problem, the thing we think of is the political angle. We don't think of the fundamentals. We're just there at the top, just scratching on the surface and all of that. And I hope we'll get over it. The vote buying determine the electoral outcome. We have seen the incidents in 2014 and subsequent elections. However, except people who are not directly involved in partisan political contestations, votes were not bought at the police stations. Anybody who is familiar with our own literary, the repertoire of our literary culture, we heard there's a short story by Chinua Achebe, The Voter. In the 60s, in 1960s, what we call the First Republic, when you wanted a voter, a particular person to vote for you, you go to his house or her house
and
before the election.
money.
You negotiate. According to that story of Chinua Achebe, you give him money. You will make him swear that when he gets there, he will vote for you. That's the story of Chinua Achebe. And the person, this voter in question, took money and took oath that he will go to vote for a particular candidate. Another candidate came to him and offered him
the same money or a higher money.
Offered him money and also made him to swear that he will vote for him when he gets to the polling station. So he went there. He was given a ballot paper. Now he had taken 2 oaths that he was going to vote for both candidates. And you know what he did? He turned the paper into 2. Put one in this box and put one in the other box. That's how it was done, though. Everybody had a separate box. Not that this one that we have a common box that was introduced in 1979. This one of having one single box for everybody was introduced in 1979. Before then, every candidate had a box with his party logo stamp on it. So he turned the ballot paper, put one in this box, and put this one and say, God, you know I fulfilled my...
but still on what you said before you land, sorry, I just need to add this, because you did state that votes are not bought in the polling unit. And if you look at the last election in Osun State, we've seen issues like that. And that is even one of the major reasons. I think it's also a major trigger for what this policy is all about. The major complaint then was that there was so much issue of vote buying. And this policy seemed to have addressed it. And if you listen also to what the CBN governor said in his last visit to the president in Daura, he did stated clearly that this is also one way to solve the problem of vote buying. There was also the issue of the insecurity, the issue of the bandit and the rest of it like that.
No, I've already answered your question. It's not the business of CBN. CBN has no business with politics. If the CBN governor got involved in politics and starts talking of how you can change currency, you can redesign currency to stop both, he has missed his remit. But
most of INEC sensitive materials are kept in the CBN before distribution. Is CBN still not part of that?
This is an argument. This is an argument we need to tidy up. I don't know whether there's a forum to do so. I don't know how much time we have. We have a major confusion in our country. I don't know what I have had these cases when I was still in the academia, teaching in the class. There is this misconception, mischaracterization of 3 things about our country. We don't understand the difference between a country, a nation, and a state. There are 3 different concepts, and they mean 3 different things. So, when we want to solve one problem, we mix up the whole problems. The CBN is a state institution. It's not a political institution. The police is a state institution. The military is a state institution.
According to our constitution,
that's the fundamental basis of a country. But the Federal Ministry of Finance is a government creation. Federal Ministry of Agriculture is a government creation.
Yes.
The land borders belongs to a country. The land borders of a country and all that. We mix up these things when we want to deal with problems of our country. And I don't know. I hope I can get back to the academia soon. I'm working on teaching lower classes and try to clarify these things for them so that you can have a clearer understanding of your country or what it means to live in a country or to be in a nation state or to be in a nation and so on and so forth. Now, we have this challenge that when we want to deal with problems of state, we are dealing with the problem of the nation. When we want to deal with the problem of the nation, we are dealing with the problem of the country. All these arguments that the CBN governor is canvassing are political problems at the level of the nation. CBN's responsibility is at the level of the state, of the economy. And And so, I don't know where he got his own ideas from. But anybody who has basic training in economics, and we should assume that anybody who is governor of CBN has some basic training in economics, even if it's not a scholar or anything, we should assume that. You know that when you mix up economics with politics, you are mixing up oil with water. It doesn't gel. I don't want to be controversial in your program. You are.
But doctor, let me also state that vote buying does not really happen at home.
It's not supposed to happen there at all. It's not supposed to happen at the police station. It's 2014 that brought it there. Your fire shares election brought it to the polling booth. Before then, it happened outside.
Okay.
It didn't happen there.
Okay. We have a report from Magdalene Wadike. Magdalene Wadike is a French citizen who has been in Nigeria since 1984 and neutralized in 2005. She's among.
Before you take the report, I think we have a caller. Let us get to the caller. Hello, good afternoon. Okay.
Okay. Back to our report. Magdalene Wadike is a French citizen who has been in Nigeria since 1984 and neutralized in 2005. She's among the voters who exercised their franchise today in Wuse area of Abuja. So far, she said, since her neutralization, she described this year's election as the best so far she has witnessed in the country.
My name is Marjolaine Escande Wadike. Wadike is his name, Escande is my mother's name. I'm originally from France, but I've been in this country since 1984. Yes.
Now, I just saw that you participated in the voting process. Is this your first time doing that in Nigeria?
No, I was naturalized in beginning of the 2005, I think. And I've been voting since.
Well, now that how would you assess the process for this year?
Good.
In comparison to others?
Yes, I'm very happy because before you had to accredit first, go back home, come back hours later, stand in the line again. This time around, you stand in the line once, you vote immediately. It was very good, peaceful. People are very disciplined. I'm happy about it.
Now, Nigerians would like to know what actually motivated you to get first of all naturalized and now even participate in the voting processes for all these years?
Okay, well, it's normal to naturalize if you live in the country, and I've been living here for, you can calculate the number of years, it is a long time. Voting for me is a civic duty. Every citizen should vote because after all, we the people vote for the leaders, right? And if you don't vote and you get a leader you don't like, then it's your fault. So I believe it's a duty, and I'm happy to fulfill my duty.
So how would you assess the general conduct of the voters on the queue that you met and even the electoral officers?
Very good. Everybody was, friendly, solidarity. The officers are fine, very polite. I mean, I have nothing to say about that. Okay, so I'm glad.
So on a final note, your call to every single Nigerian, regardless of the outcome of this exercise?
Of course, everybody should go and vote. It's important. Okay. Right.
So regardless of the outcome, what is your advice to Nigerians with regards to taking the results?
To accept the results, because there's no need contesting it. There's no need going to the street. It's not going to help matters. So everybody should just peacefully accept. I mean, if you've been able to vote and if your vote has been counted, if you're in the minority, well, that's democracy. The majority takes the votes.
Thank you very much, Margaret Mwadike. We also have Senator Edwin Melvin. Senator Edwin Melvin is the ECOWAS election observer mission to Nigeria. He has expressed satisfaction with the conduct of the election so far in the polling unit visited in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. He's a member of the ECOWAS 2023 election observer mission to Nigeria. He spoke with ASO Radio and Television Services, and he said, so far, this is the best election that the mission has witnessed in Nigeria. Let's have Senator Edwin Melvin.
Well, my name is I'm Senator Edwin Snow from Liberia. I'm also a member of the ECOWAS Parliament, and I chair the Committee on Political Affairs, Peace and Security. So I'm here today as a member of the ECOWAS Observation Mission Team.
Okay, we've seen you at a couple of polling units since morning. What would you say is your general assessment of what you've seen so far?
Well, quite impressive. It's quite peaceful. The security is very professional. The voters are very kind, very understanding, and they seem very passionate about the democratic process in Nigeria.
Now, compared to other elections that you have witnessed around, especially within the sub-region, how would you rate what you have seen, especially with regards to conduct of the electorates on the queue this week?
Well, let me not go to other countries, but I was also in Nigeria for the election in 2019. Currently, I'm the head of the ECOWAS parliamentary mission to this election. In 2019, I was also the head of the parliamentary mission to the election in Nigeria. And what I can say today is that the conduct of the election today is very well organized. It seems to be very well on course, at least for the areas I've covered and the network that we've established. Compared to 2019. 2019, I was here when a day to the election, it was postponed. There were a lot of tension. This election seems very peaceful, and I hope that the outcome will be peaceful.
Just before we go, kindly share with us the mission.
But do you think there might be here around here?
Goal, the overall goal of the mission, ECOWAS mission?
Well, our overall goal is to ensure and enhance our democratic tenets. Nigeria is a key player in our region. Nigeria is the biggest democracy in our region. Nigeria has the biggest economy in our region. Nigeria is responsible for the survival, so to speak, of ECOWAS. Nigeria has 94 million registered voters. All other countries, all the 14 other countries have about 70 million. So just Nigeria alone is more than all of the 14 countries. So Nigeria is very key, and that's why we are here. We've deployed 250 observers. This is the biggest mission we've had in ECOWAS of the observation. The AU is here, the EU is here, the Commonwealth is here. This is the biggest election mission so far in Africa, and we're very impressed with the conduct of the elections. We're very impressed with the conduct of the citizens. Nigerians, so far what we've seen, they're very peaceful people. They're very obedient. Their security forces are very professional. The INEC staff, very professional, and we're very impressed about the process.
Thank you very much, Senator Edwin Melvin, ECOWAS Election Observer Mission to Nigeria. We also have a report from the European Union. The head of the European Union Election Observer Mission to Nigeria, Barry Andre, says the mission is impressed with the large turnout of voters for the general election today, but says in its preliminary report, this will not be ready till Monday. That's the mission, EU mission's preliminary report will not be ready till Monday. And in the meantime, he says the EU mission is in the country to support all processes that will lead to peaceful conduct of the election and transition. Let's join the head of European Union Observer Mission to Nigeria, Barry Andrew. He's standing by.
Our mission has been deployed here since early January. So today is obviously important, but is also a step in the entire process that we've been examining over the last 2 months. And we will continue to stay here into early April to complete our assessment of the overall election process here in Nigeria. We have observers across the country, more than 100 observers across the country. Our long-term observers have been deployed since late January, and short-term observers during this week are at polling units throughout the country. And we'll work together with the other election observation missions from the African Union, from ECOWAS, the Commonwealth Foundation. And in 2 days' time, on Monday, we will publish a preliminary statement, and that will contain our initial assessment of the election process in regard to all of the issues that have arisen. Within 3 months after the election, we will produce a final report, and that will contain our conclusions and recommendations. So we're here for the long term, and our main goal today is to oversee, to see that there is a peaceful election here, that people have access and that they can exercise their vote.
Okay, so what's the observation so far?
Well, we have taken note of the high attendance here this morning. We will, of course, gather information from across the country. So we don't make observations until Monday.
Thank you very much for joining us. This is the Decision 2023 from ASO Radio and Television Services Abuja. Today in the studio we have two analysts with us. Dr. Abohime is a political scientist. Once again, thank you very much for joining us. And we also have Dr. Akintule Ogunsola. He's an economic consultant. Thank you very much for joining us on Vote Decision 2023 on ASO Radio and Television Services. No.
Yes, definitely. Before now, I was just trying to scroll through to get the details of the PVCs collected. But then before we go into the detail of that, there's one major issue that normally do take place whenever election is ongoing. The issue of thuggery is very, very important, and how far as this policy gets to manage it, because we are still on that argument. If the decision taken by the central bank, if it is a political decision, if it is an economic decision, but still on that, what is your assessment, Dr. Ogunsola, on this aspect of thuggery? If you look at the 2019, the 2015, the 2011, the report that would have been coming in now would have been, there was this shot, there was that shot. So what's your take on this thuggery issue?
Thank you very much. So far, so good. There's improvement in our elections. INEC has looked at the loopholes. They have studied the previous elections, and they have put some controls in place. In the past, the thuggery that you're talking about is always involved in ballot snatching.
Ballot snatching, yeah.
They will send thugs to the polling units to snatch the ballot box, and turn all the polls upside down. In fact, in the past, we've seen where they are burning ballot papers on election day. But now, the people now are ready to stand to defend their vote. Because according to the law, the Electoral Act, it states that any polling unit that experiences violence, that polling unit result is going to be cancelled. So if anyone does not want his vote to be cancelled, you need to stand to defend your vote. And security agencies are also there. They are on ground in the polling units. Though they might not be armed to confront any form of any thuggery or any thug that is coming to attack. But I think at the, far some meters away from the polling unit, we have armed men. So even if the thugs want to snatch any ballot box, I don't think they can go far. I can even recall in 2019 when Mr. President said, if you see anyone snatching your ballot box, shoot the person aside. But I think so far so good. We've not heard any reports on thuggery, any report on ballot snatching, because the BVAS is also the game changer in this election. Because once you snatch the ballot box, the BVAS has recorded all what has transpired, the people that have voted, and probably at the end of the day, it will lead to cancellation of that result of that polling unit. But so far so good. I think politicians are not adopting the strategy of thuggery again. I think it's no longer a vote. We didn't hear about thuggery in Osun election. We didn't hear much about thuggery in Ekiti election, even Anambra election. I think they all decided to go to the aspect of vote buying. And that's why the president was stamping his feet on ground to ensure that vote buying will not discredit this election.
Because at a point I was discussing with a member of the House of Rep member, from my state, and I did inform him that, look, what happened in the 2019 election or 2020 election in Kogi State will definitely not happen again, because if you couldn't fine-tune the way you get your vote from the voters, so many things will be closed. You can see the advancement from artificial intelligence. You can see the change in technology definitely is going to change the things that are going to happen. But then let us have Olayemi from the field. Olayemi, good afternoon and welcome. Please can you go ahead with your report, please? You can go ahead, please, with your report.
Okay, at the polling unit now, the Buhari local government area, DC Alaji, Katampe Extension, FCDA. Everything is going smoothly like expected, but there was a little delay in their coming. The INEC official came late, and they came around that after 11. So, but fortunately, the people that are supposed to vote in this polling unit are not much. The paper placed at below 184 to be precise, but the agent then, the leader of the agent came and told us that the total number of people that are supposed to vote are 124,
Okay, I think he's having technical issues there. That's with respect to the number of persons that are going to, and I think you did raise up a very critical issue then. I was trying to come up with something very important. There is always that aspect whereby INEC has a way of reducing the number of voters at a particular unit. Because if the population is much, the presiding officers, the assistant presiding officers, they will find it very difficult to manage the population. So that's the more reason why they created the voting point. The voting point is to reduce that stress from the main polling unit. So, but still on that same issue, if you remember, Dr. Eboyeme did raise a major issue, that there is still that apprehension whenever we want to conduct election. People seem not to be free when democracy is supposed to give us that freedom to carry out our daily activities. So why do you think we still have that kind of situation in the country?
I think we don't have that kind of situation because we all agreed that there is high turnout of voters. So nobody is afraid. From the reports you are seeing from the field, you see people on the lines. Nobody is afraid. Everybody is ready to cast their vote. Even if thugs are coming with guns, they are ready to defend their vote this time. There is this uproar. There is this, would I say, knowledge that Nigerians have gotten about voting and election and all that. And that is the force that is pushing people to come out. You'll be shocked at the level of turnout of this vote. I think in the past, we usually have about 50%, 60% level of turnout. But I'm expecting a level of turnout that is actually up to 70 to 80% of voter turnout. People are no longer afraid this time. People are there. And I can tell you, people will continue to be there. Not just vote and go home. People are there to wait until the polling officers snap the result sheet and upload it using the beavers and also paste it on the wall. And even people will even use their phones also to snap it on the wall before they go home. So there's nothing like fear here.
So we shouldn't expect the Orubebes situation of 2015. So if we can have Dr. Eboyeme to also say something on this.
There are a number of issues we have discussed now. If it's the question of snatching of ballot boxes, that usually happens after the votes. It's not in the course of the vote. If some in politics it's called able-bodied men. Some enforcers get to area and think their candidate is not doing well. That's when they snatch ballot boxes, try to destroy the result. I don't know whether it will happen, but it's not impossible. If you're not in an area where you are not strong, you can disrupt the election so that the result in that unit is cancelled. I don't know how it will be done. I'm not in the field. We are here in Abuja. Sometimes it's difficult for us to sit here in Abuja and speak for the whole of Nigeria as if we know we're everywhere in Nigeria. We are not ubiquitous. The second issue you raised about freedom, I just said that in passing, that one of the characteristics of democracy is freedom. Freedom of expression, freedom of movement, freedom of association, and so on and so forth. Well, it's one of the characteristics of when you teach democracy, when you teach 100 level political science, you teach concept of democracy, you teach those things. But I am inclined to hope that the election we are holding today has some catalytic implications for our country. For good or ill. I can't say until we will see the result. When the results are out, those who are disaffected, we hope they will employ the established process to deal with that.
Okay,
but
it's not. Sorry, Doctor, before you go ahead with that, let us quickly get the field report from Yemi. Olayemi, please, can you go ahead with the indices of your polling unit?
Good afternoon, listener and watcher. We are at home. I'm Yemi Olaoyo reporting live from Buhari Area Council, one of the Katampe Extension, FCDA office to be precise. The polling unit, everything is moving on smoothly, and although the INEC officials, they came late, they came after 11 o'clock because it seemed as if they had issue with their driver missing their route way air. But as at 8:30 or before 8, people have started trooping in to come and cast their votes. but they couldn't do that until when the INEC officials set their materials on ground. We have only 84 people pasted on the wall to cast their vote, but the INEC officials made us understand that they brought 124 polling paper to make vote with, and that's
Olayemi, can you please switch off your monitoring device so we can get you clearly? Can you please switch off your monitoring? There's a holdback from our conversation, so move away from the radio set you're using to monitor. Go ahead.
All right, can you hear me clearly now?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. I said that they have only 84 people pasted on the wall to people who can be accredited, but the INEC official made us understand that the people that are supposed to vote, registered voters, are 124 people, which they are checking on their master list. And so far so good, many people have casted their vote, and they're about to many are even leaving now. Remaining some people who are yet to cast their vote, which are few in numbers. As of now, everything is going smoothly, and the security agents are also going and doing their work as expected. There is no problem, there is no cause for alarm in this polling unit. Everything is going normal.
Please, can you show us around so that we can get a feel of how the environment looks and the persons or the voters around your area, please? Can you just show us around? Okay, pending when that is done. Dr. Eboyeme, you're still on that issue from the freedom. So
no, it's okay. Yeah. Of course, we're able to exercise our franchise. That's
I think we have a video clip from
the announcement of the result.
The center seems to be, the polling unit seems to be calm.
So Yemi, if I can quickly ask you this question, did you take any observation of persons with disabilities voting in that particular unit?
Okay, no problem, sir.
Please just take an observation. If you have any one of them, you can just have an interview with them. Persons with disability, please.
Okay, maybe you should give me a few minutes to do that.
No problem. Please kindly go ahead. Thank you so much, Yemi, for joining us and giving us live report from your location. So, Doctor, you are on it, please.
Yes, I was saying that we have freedom to exercise our franchise, which is good enough. So that is required. All I said that in passing. They call obiter dictum.
Oh, okay.
That our freedom of movement have been restricted and all of that, and therefore we need to think through our own system of conducting elections in our country. That we need to make it simpler. We need to make it less tensed. We need to make it less of a militarized exercise. That I said that in passing. Yes. I'm not saying that is necessarily exert a negative impact onto this election, but going forward, these are things we need to think through.
Okay.
I should be able to come from my office, cast my vote, and go back to the office.
Yes, that should be the standard way of
maybe the next process. We also have diaspora voting and other forms of voting to make it very, very easy for us.
So, but still on this same issue that was created by Olayemi, he mentioned something very, very important. That's they started late past 11.
Yeah.
That's the presiding officers, the assistant presiding officers, and rest. They came there to the polling unit very late.
Yeah.
But he mentioned something very clear, that they had issues which is very, very important, because we don't want people to feel that sometimes when you are at the sharing point before you leave the local government to get your materials, when you have they have to sort them out, probably over the night down to the early hours of the day, and then they give it to you, the presiding officer. You now go out with the materials if you have your driver on ground, and I think that is the major reason why they started that very late. But
that's a bit strange. The normal practice is that when INEC officials are going to a particular polling station or going to an area, agents of political party accompany them. I don't know what went wrong here, because the agents of political are from that environment where the officers are deployed to serve. So I won't know what happened, that they didn't go with the agent of political party didn't follow them, and therefore show them the way, and the driver lost his way. I don't know what happened.
Sorry, Dr. Eboyeme, I think we'll have a live translation now from the
Coalition Center.